Good afternoon. Today we're going to discuss a very important topic in finance, which is the weighted average cost of capital. So if we take a look at this diagram, a firm's long-term assets, whether it's fixed assets or other types of long-term assets, is usually financed by long-term debt and equity. And this is what we call the matching principle in accounting. So you don't finance your current assets with long-term debt. What you do is you finance your current assets with current liabilities to be consistent with the principle of matching. Okay, so fixed assets and other long-term assets are financed by long-term debt and equity. This portion here is called your capital structure. Okay, and in order to finance fixed assets or long-term assets, we need to determine whether the cash flows that will be generated, future cash flows to be generated from those assets will exceed the investment, the return to be generated by investing in those long-term assets will exceed what we call the cost of capital. So it's very important for companies to understand or to know what their what we call WACC, weighted average cost of capital. Now, WACC is not something that's permanent. So oftentimes companies would assess again and compute for their current weighted average cost of capital, because the weighted average cost of capital is a function of several factors, and these factors change with respect to time. So these factors do not remain constant. Okay, that's why the weighted average cost of capital may change over time. Okay, so let me cite you an example. We have this company having this investment opportunity, an initial investment of $100,000. Useful life is 20 years. IRR is 7%. And then the least cost source of financing is debt, which is 6%. So here, the IRR is being compared to the internal rate of return of the project is being compared to the cost of debt. Okay, and the decision would be, of course, to go with the project. The project is okay because and let's assume that the project will be financed by debt. The IRR, internal rate of return of the project, is 7%, and the cost of debt is 6%. So should the company push with the project? We may be tempted to say yes, because the IRR, 7%, is greater than the cost of debt. However, okay, this might be a wrong decision, because a company should ascertain, or they should assess the viability of a project not based on one source of financing alone. Okay, so just like this, on the other hand, we have this 100% investment. Useful life is 20 years. IRR is 12%, and the least cost of financing, which is equity, is 14%. So here the company might say no to this project because the cost of equity, 14%, is greater than the return of the project, 12%. Okay, so this might most probably will give the company wrong decisions because they're basing it on cost of financing using debt alone and using equity alone. Okay, the important principle here is that when companies evaluate projects, what is used is what we call the average cost of capital. Okay, weighted average cost of capital. Over the long run, the firm must undertake investments that maximize firm value, maximize shareholder value, and this can be achieved by undertaking projects whose returns exceed the rate of firm's overall weighted average cost of capital, or the WACC. Okay, so in order to know the WACC, okay, we should know how to compute the specific cost of debt, specific costs of financing. So we have the cost of debt, Okay. We also have the cost of equity, whether it's preferred or common stock. Okay. And once the company has determined the cost of debt, cost of equity, and cost of whether it's common or preferred, then we can now compute for the weighted average cost of capital, which is just the sum of the weighted costs. So this is the cost of, let's say this is the cost of debt, the cost of preferred stock, the cost of equity common stock. And then if we know the weights, okay, based on the balance sheet, we should be able to know this. Then we can now compute for the weighted average cost of capital, the WACC, which should be the basis for any decision. Okay, so to know the WACC means to know the individual components of WACC. So first we have the cost of debt, and the cost of debt is always netted after tax. So you take a look at this formula. The cost of debt K is equal to the yield to maturity times 1 minus tax rate. Now, why is it that debt is netted against tax? Why do we use the after-tax cost of debt? If we don't use the after-tax cost of debt, then the cost of debt will be higher. But when we subtract the effect, the tax component, then the cost of debt will be lower. So the after-tax cost of debt will be lower than the cost of debt, the before-tax cost of debt. Why is it that we subtract the tax component? It is because the company enjoys tax savings, okay, with the use of debt. So take note that when you have your EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes, okay, you subtract your interest before you get to your earnings before tax. So the company has reduced a taxable base because of interest, because of use of debt. And so because the company enjoys tax savings due to the use of debt, then the cost of debt becomes whatever your yield to maturity is, and then we subtract the tax savings that's generated because of by virtue of the use of debt. All right. Unlike the common stock and the preferred stock, we don't net them after tax. It's only the cost of debt. Okay, so we have some examples here. Okay, so let's take a look at this example. All right, suppose a company issues a 9% coupon, 20-year debt with a face value of 1,980. Okay, so this is a bond selling at a discount, right? Suppose further that the flotation costs amount to 2% of par value. Find the before tax cost of debt. Okay, we're going to have an exercise on this. Okay, but here I'm sure you'll know how to solve this kasi rate function lang yan. Okay, so once we're able to compute for the after-tax cost of debt, in this case, it's 9.45%, then we net it against the tax rate. So that's 1 minus whatever the tax rate is. So here, the tax rate is 40%. So your after-tax cost of debt is 5.67. Okay? And then we do the same thing for preferred stock. And there's a formula to get the cost of preferred stock. So it's the cost of preferred is equal to the dividend of the preferred divided by the price of the preferred stock minus any flotation cost. Again, we'll also discuss this later on. So if we know the dividends for a preferred stock, which is always usually constant, then we can, and if you know the current price of the preferred stock and how much is the cost to sell your preferred stock, your flotation cost, okay, or not to sell but to acquire, okay, to acquire financing to preferred stock, yes, which is to sell your preferred stock. Yeah, that's correct. To sell your preferred stock. Kasi here, guys, we're trying to generate funds. Okay, this is cost of capital, cost of acquiring funds, cost of acquiring capital. So we can acquire capital through debt or through preferred stock or through common equity. So this is the formula to get the cost of preferred stock. And this is the formula to get the cost of common equity. So this is for the constant growth model, and this is for the CAPM, the capital asset pricing model approach. So two ways by which you can compute for the cost of equity. So when you have now the cost of debt, cost of equity, and cost of preferred stock, we can now compute for the weighted average cost of capital. The weight is very easy to compute. You just get the value of the debt, the market value of the debt, the market value of your preferred stock, the market value of common stock, and then get the individual weights of each. So those weights will now be multiplied to their individual costs. So assuming that the weight of the debt in the capital structure is 40%, then you multiply the weight of the debt multiplied by the after-tax cost of debt. And then this one is the preferred, okay? And let's assume that it's 10%. So if we if we computed for the weights of the of the capital structure, 40% comes from debt, 10% comes from a preferred stock, and 50% comes from equity, which is this one. So you multiply the weights by the individual costs. This is the after-tax cost of debt, this is the cost of preferred, and this is the cost of common stock. Now notice that which has the highest cost among the three? Okay, which one? Common equity, yes. Carlos, why? Why do you think does common equity have the highest cost?
Sure, I think it's because a lot of people get common equity.
Okay, a lot of people get common equity. Or maybe it has something to do with the principle of risk and return. Okay? Diba? The fundamental principle of finance is the higher the assumed risk, the greater is the required return. Now, comparing debt and equity, debt, a bondholder will assume a lesser degree of risk compared to an equity holder. Okay? Number one, in terms of market forces, bonds are more stable. Number two, in the event of liquidation, who will get paid first? A bondholder or an equity holder? The bondholder will get paid first. Okay? And then whatever is left, if there's something left still when the assets of the company are sold in the process of liquidation, the process of converting your assets to cash so that you can pay off your creditors, if there's anything left, then it will be prorated among the common stockholders. So, mas malaki yung risk ng common stockholders. And because they assume a greater amount of risk, then they should be compensated with with a greater return. So, ganun yun, ano? It's like that. Okay, clear yun, class? So, between debt and preferred stockholders, mas risky ang preferred stockholder. So, it will have the higher required return. And between preferred stockholders, which is just a quasi-bond, parang bond din ng preferred shareholder. Kasi pareho lang yung, let's say, naka-fix yung dividend rate niya, parang interest lang din yun. And then you have now the equity, common equity, which is it's riskier in terms of liquidation, mauuna yung preferred shareholders mabayaran. Saka na lang huling-huli yung residual, quote-unquote, residual stakeholders. Okay, residual sila kasi after the bondholders and preferred shareholders are satisfied, then sila na yung natitira. No? Okay. All right. Clear, class, yung why do we expect that the common shareholders, common equity, cost of common equity will be higher compared to the bond or the debt or the preferred. Okay. So here we compute for the weight of the cost of debt with the cost of debt, and then the weight of the cost of preferred multiplied by the cost of preferred times the weight for the common equity multiplied by the cost of common equity, and we have this. So this is now your weighted average cost of capital, and this is what you use to assess projects. So it's not lower than the cost of debt. It will be higher than the cost of debt, but it will be lower than the cost of equity, especially assuming that the company has both debt and equity. All right. Because if it has no debt, di ba din zero to, di ba? So all will be equity. Kasi zero yung debt nila. Okay, any questions about that, class? Okay, itong WMCC, we'll discuss that when we go to this one, WMCC. Okay, so let's first compute for the weighted average cost of capital. Okay. Wait, sige. All right, we have this information. The tax rate is 30%. You have coupon rate at 10%, face value at 1,000. Maturity is at 10 years. Flotation cost is 1%. Okay, that's for the debt. Flotation cost means that if the company is going to issue this bond, okay, that's the net payment that they will have to pay the agencies that will float the bond for them, because usually companies do not have the expertise on floating bonds, so they get the services of investment banks. So yung mga investment banks, sila yung sila yung nagfo-float ng bond para dun sa company. Okay, so the company does not really get the face amount of the bond, kasi magbabayad pa siya dun sa services ng and it's usually quoted as a percentage of the face, yung flotation cost. Okay, so I'll give you let's see, saan ba natin ilalagay dito? Should I place a ito pala. Ito. You can put here the after-tax cost for the debt. Pero for the preferred and the common, hindi. No? Kasi wala silang, hindi naman net against tax to. So the price of the bond now is 904.53. Okay, so I'll give you a few minutes to try to see what's the cost. Okay? Clue, class, of course, pag cost ang pinag-uusapan, ang rate ang gagamitin niyo dyan. Okay, sige. I'll give you a few minutes, maybe 1 or 2 minutes, to try to compute how much is the after-tax cost of that. You can, of course, refer to the other notes. May ano na? Kindly chat your answer, please, class. Let's see if, let's just evaluate your answer kung ano yung nakuha yung answer. Okay, si Luis, 8.17. Okay, sige. Thank you, Luis. Good. Sige, let's, i-guess mo kung saan kaya pupunta yung float. No? Tapos si Rhea, ganun din, 8.17. Sige, computin nyo na rin class yung, yung preferred at saka yung common. So we have two answers. Let's wait for the others. Not sure, but so far in the percentage, Carlos, share mo naman sa lahat yung answer mo. It's okay kung whatever you got. So si Luis, 8.17. Luis, solve mo na rin yung preferred at saka common. Si Rhea may answer na ng... Rhea, pakishare yung answer mo din sa iba. Okay, si Carlos din, 31.14% for debt, 8.61% for preferred, and 60.25% for common. Okay, which tells us that there's a challenge there kasi mas mataas pa yung cost of debt kaysa kay preferred stock, di ba? Dapat mas mataas si cost ng preferred stock kaysa kay cost of debt. Si Rhea, 8.17%, preferred 10%, common 12%. Okay. So let's give a few more minutes to the others. Okay, a few more seconds, class. So, kay Luis, 8.17, 10.20, and 12.31. Okay. Okay, so sige, I'll share screen now, resume share. Okay, so this is what I'm getting. Kindly check, please. So, cost of debt ko, 8.29%. Si preferred ko, 9.8. Tsaka si common, 12.31. Okay, I think I got the same answer as Luis sa pareho kami ni Luis sa common stock. Okay. Sige, let's do this together, class. First is the cost of debt. What should we remember that ang cost of debt laging after tax yan, diba? So what's your cost of debt? If you take a look at the formula, ang cost of debt kasi natin, given tayo ng mga specifics sa taon, no? Meron tayong bond na 1,000 to mature in 10 years. Flotation cost is 1%. Coupon rate niya is 10%. Then the price, the market value of the bond is 904.53. Okay? All right. So let's compute for that. So yung cost niya will be using the rate function. Okay, ano yung N per natin, class? What's our N per?
10, sir.
Yan, 10. Maturity, no? Comma. What's our PMT?
1,000 times 10%.
Yes, kasi ang PMT natin yung annuity ng interest payments, no? So that's 1,000, the face value multiplied by the coupon rate of 10%. Correct. Comma. What will be our present value?
Yung current market price po, sir.
Okay, the current market price, which is this one, right? Okay, but there's a flotation cost, which means that we will not be getting this. We will have to pay the investment bank 1%. Okay, so ang present value natin talaga is 904.53 netted against 1% na flotation cost. So only 99% of this. Okay? All right, then comma. What will be our future value?
Sir,
Yes?
nung doon po sa B3, hindi po siya negative, like minus
Yeah.
B.
Yeah, tama, no? So I was about to give the wrong answer kasi okay, thank you. Sino ni Rhea?
Ah, yes po, sir.
Okay, tama, Rhea. Thank you. Thank you so much. Killjoy ka naman, Rhea. Okay, Rhea is correct, no? So remember, class, sa Excel, yung direction ng cash flow is very important. So dito, let's assume that we're going to manghihiram tayo, di ba? Mag-i-issue tayo ng bond. So ang present value natin, which is, sa yung present value natin? Ito, di ba? This will be inflow, no? So dapat yung PMT natin this will be an outflow. Okay? Negative siya. So magbabayad tayo ng 1,000 times 10% every year. And then future value natin ano, class? Future value natin.
Yung
1,000,
1,000 po.
sir.
And that should be negative din, di ba? Bakit negative? Pareho siya ng sign ng PMT. Kasi magbabayad ka ng 10% every year, 10% of 1,000, and at the end of the 10th year, magbabayad ka pa rin ng 1,000. Or pwede nating ibaliktad yung direction, it doesn't matter. Kung positive yung PMT at saka yung future value, tapos negative yung present value. Basta ang alam natin, dapat pareho yung direction ng PMT at saka ng future value. Di ba? Kasi we borrowed money, so we will have to pay regular interests, plus at the end of the term, babayaran natin yung principal na 1,000. Okay? So we can just ignore the type kasi annuity, ordinary naman ng assumption ito. Alright? And then we have to net this against the tax rate. 1 minus, remember, ang cost of debt should be, maganda sana kung lalagyan natin ng pangalan to, but never mind, 1 minus tax rate. There. Okay? So we get, let's see, 8.29%. That should be our cost of debt. Okay, let me show the formula here. In case you want to check your answer, formula text. Okay. Would have been good if we gave names, huh? All right. I'll give you a few seconds to follow along. Okay, while you're check, tatawag na ako ng attendance. Hindi pa ako natawag ng attendance. FINMODE. Natawag na one. Okay. Gerald, are you here? Gerald, not here. Kathleen?
Present, sir.
Thank you. James? Jillian?
Present po.
Luis? Yeah. Carlos is here. Rhea is here. Kim, are you here?
Present, sir.
Okay. Rod, are you here? Nako, wala na. Baka nang absent si Rod. Okay. Again, Gerald, James, Rod. Okay. Okay. Okay, so did you get 8.286? Any questions about 8.286? Okay. All right, then let's go to the preferred stock. If you take a look at the formula for the preferred stock, it's all about getting the present value of your dividends. Okay, ito dividends yun eh, no? Okay, so dividends, hindi, common equity yan. Dividends divided by the price now. So this is actually from your, this is from your dividend discount model, no? Kasi ang dividend ng ano ng preferred stock is the same, hindi siya nagbabago eh. Okay, parang quasi band to. Okay, so the dividend of the preferred divided by the price minus the flotation cost or the net price. Okay, so let's compute for that. So it's equal to the dividend is, right, this one divided by, what's the price? The net price is, okay, how much is the cost of the, how much is the market value? Coupon yan, no? This one. And then it has to be the net price. So dapat that one. And then we net it against, since percentage siya, so it should be 1 minus the flotation cost. Yan. Okay? So dividend divided by price minus flotation. Eh, naka-percentage kasi yung flotation, kaya the price times 1 minus the 2%. So it means 98% lang. yung net price, 98%. Okay? Enter. So that's 10.20 something. Mali ako dito. Ba't ako nagkamali? Times 1 minus, saan ko ba kinuha to? 1 minus D10. Coupon rate. Tama naman. So D9,
Sir, I think it's a
Ah.
lack of parentheses.
lack of parentheses. D9
Kasi
times.
dapat i-divide yung
Oo, dapat meron parentheses doon. So, kasi dapat yung the whole quantity should be divided. Okay, there. Okay, so that's your cost of preferred stock, 10.20%. And we expect it to be higher than the cost of debt. And then lastly, we have the cost of equity. And the cost of equity, if you take a look at the formula, again, this is from the, we learned last time yung dividend discount model. We can show easily that the price, diba, na last time, na-define natin yung price, diba? Here. The price is equal to, okay, the price is equal to the present values of all your dividends. Okay, and it can be shown that we can compute for the R. We can compute for the required return if we know the price. So a little algebra, I'll not show it anymore. Maybe if you want next time na lang, no? Papakita natin na yung price yung cost ng equity is just equal to the dividend at year 1 after 1 period divided by the price now. So take note, D1 over PO plus the growth rate. Okay? Plus the growth rate. So, okay, we can now compute for that. What's our D1? We know that dividend at time 0. So therefore, the dividend at time 1 is, so it's growing by 1 plus, the growth rate is 6%. Diba? So your dividend for next year will be dividend now times 1 plus 6%. That's a growth rate. Okay, and then divided by what class? Ano formula? Here, no? Dividend divided by the price at time 0. Right? So dividend divided by the price at time 0. What's the price at time 0? The price at time 0 is 70. So this is D1 divided by P sub O. And then you add the growth rate plus G. Okay, control enter. Okay, may muli D sub 1, so the dividend now is 3.96 times 1 plus the growth rate divided by the price. What's the price now? The price is, sorry. May kulang ako dito sa price. The price is, yeah, it's 70. However, class, may flotation cost kasi. Yeah, we will not be getting everything. May flotation cost na 5%. Okay. So we should put everything in parentheses. Okay. So this is dividend at year one divided by the price. And the price is not 70. It has to be netted against the flotation cost. And then plus the growth rate of 6%. So I got 12.31. Okay. I'll just get water. So I'll give you a few seconds, few minutes. Okay, try to now compute for the weighted average cost of capital. Pause ko lang yung recording. And then please remind me again. Kindly remind me please to resume recording a while. Okay, let me now show my answers and let's compare. What's your cost of debt? Do we have the same cost of debt? Okay, how about the others? How much is your cost of debt, Carlos? $6.64. Oh, malapit na. 13.83 kay Rhea, 6.64 kay Carlos, 13.83. Okay. How about the others, class? Are you getting the same figures? Pati yung cost of preferred stock and cost of common equity? Just to show the whole computation. $6.64 then, okay. How about the others? Did you get these figures, yung WACC natin? If it's based on book value or based on market values? Hello, class. Waiting for the others to give their feedback. Hello class, kamusta? Okay, so in the interest of time class, how did you get the 6.64? What's different about 6.63, 6.64? What changed here, class? Let me see who answered. Kim, what did you do?
Oh,
How did you
sir,
get 6.64%? Rate B6. Let me copy this.
sir, for me po, hindi ko na i-input yung frequency po. Like, hindi ko po alam kung saan siya ilagay. Kaya, same lang po kami ni Kim na ginamit.
Okay. So, rate is equal to B6, no? N per is B6. Okay, sige, let's do this. So, is equal to rate. So, dapat class, yung rate natin, yung N per natin is 10, di ba? Kaso, semi-annual yan kaya dapat 10 times 2. Di ba? Nawala yung isa. 10 times 2 dapat. Okay? 10 years yan, pero semi-annual. So, dapat, ang ano niya, ang number of periods is 20. Kama. Wala dito yung ano. Rate. 10. N per is 10 times 2. Kama. Hindi makita yung ano. Yung parameters. Rate. N per. 10 times 2. Kama. What's our PMT? Our PMT, magbabayad tayo, ano? Ng interest payment. So this, let's put this as an outflow. Negative 1,000 times the 9%, okay, divided by 2. Kasi every 6 months, ang babayaran natin, kalahati lang. Kasi twice a year twice a year yung pagbayad natin. Tama, our present value is, ano yung present value natin? What's our present value? The price.
945, sir.
945, no? And then there's a flotation cost times 1 minus 2%. Okay? Comma. Then your future value is also negative 1,000. At the end of the 10-year period or 20-year semi-annual period, ang babayaran pa rin natin 1,000. Okay? And then we net this against the tax rate. And we have to multiply this by 2. Kasi semi-annual to eh. This will be a semi-annual rate. So you have to convert it into an annual rate. And then we net this against the tax rate, 1 minus 35%. So this should give us, okay, around 7%, 6.63. But kaya 6.63 din nakuha niyo? Okay. Anyway, so that's the cost of debt. Okay? All right. So for preferred equity, simple lang, no? It's your dividend 11 divided by the price. The net price is 125. Multiply that by 1 minus the flotation cost. Since the flotation cost is in percentage, kaya kinukuha natin yung 1 minus. If it was an absolute amount, so minus the amount. So 8.98%. Okay, and then for common equity, cost of retained earnings, ang difference nito, pag cost of retained earnings, walang flotation cost kasi it's assumed that the funds is already there. it's available for the company's use. So there's no flotation cost. So if you take a look at this, it's your dividend at time 1, which is already given, D1, divided by your P sub O, your price is 41.5, and you don't subtract your flotation cost, okay, because this is retained earnings, and then plus the growth rate of 7%, as compared to this one, where you have to net the price times 1 minus the flotation cost. So that's the difference. Okay, that's why the cost of new equity will be more expensive, 10.27% vis-a-vis 10.01%. Okay, so we just fill this up, get the weights of the book values and the market values. So the market value is simply the quantity multiplied by the price. Okay, also for the preferred quantity times how much the price now of preferred stock is. And then for this one, it's also the quantity 31 multiplied by the market value, 945. Okay, so that gives us our market values. So we can now compute for the market value weights, which is just the sum of ito lang, no? D30 divided by the sum of D30 to D32, and then fix the rows so that we can copy down. Okay, for the book value, just this. You're given the book value already. So that's C30 divided by the sum of this. So we were able to get the book values and the market value. So what I did was, in order to make this easier to calculate, I placed here, okay, ang nangyari dito. What is Z is equal to debt. Cost of debt is okay. So for easier computation, I placed the costs there with retained earnings and then with new common stock. So this will just be the sum product. Sum product of the book value weights multiplied with retained earnings. Okay, and this one will be book value weights and then with the new common stock. Of course, the one with the new common stock will be more expensive, will be higher. Okay, also this one, market value weights, we'll use this. Sum product of this one and this one. And then the other one will be sum product of this one and this one. Okay, let me pause for a while and entertain any questions, clarifications, formulas, if you have questions about the formulas. Any questions? Can I see the MV weights? Okay. Okay, got it, Carlos? Okay, good. Any other questions, class? No questions? So when you compute for, let's say you're doing capital budgeting, usually it's this one, the market value weights, and we usually assume that there's new equity to be issued. So 9.43, this will make it a bit more conservative than using this the book value weights or the market value weights with retained earnings. Okay, so okay, that wraps up our discussion on weighted average cost of capital. We have a few more topics here. We'll just finish this on Tuesday, and then I add other topics here. Itong iOS investment opportunity schedule and the weighted marginal cost of capital. Okay, so dalawang topics yan. Related C7 at saka WMCC. And we will have time for another topic. Let me see if I'll discuss yield curve or maybe an extra discussion about, let's see. I'm thinking of an extra topic kasi we will have to discuss yield curve din naman. And then siguro, let me see what other topic to include. Related, of course, to finance or related to business analytics. You intimated to me that you want also to do some Power Query. That maybe I'll give a brief example of that. Okay. All right. It's already time. Any questions? Let me stop share.